There are big changes coming across the state tomorrow. Indoor dining is limited to your household with 5 people or less. Last call for alcohol is at 10 p.m. and bars can no longer seat people inside. King 5's Britt Moore is in Kirkland with reaction to all these new restrictions.
With less than 24 hours until the state scales back reopenings of restaurants and bars, one restaurant owner is taking things a step further. She says no one will be sitting down for dinner here until there's a vaccine.
I can't protect my staff. I can't. Not inside, not with guests.
While some restaurants in Washington have started to offer limited dine-in services, the head chef and owner of Cafe Juanita in Kirkland says she's not following suit.
You say you're not opening your restaurant's dining room until there's a COVID vaccine. Why?
I don't think it's safe for my staff or for guests to dine inside in particularly, based on everything that I've read, every news report from trusted sources. I don't want to be part of the problem.
Beginning tomorrow, under new state restrictions, alcohol can't be served after 10 p.m. at bars and restaurants, and indoor dining will be limited to members of the same household. It's a move Holly Smith supports, but says she's taking a different approach.
I've had plenty of people look at me like I've got a tinfoil hat on, but I'm just trying to do what feels right.
While the decision was a tough one, she says it's time to be honest about the realities the restaurant industry is facing.
I've had a few restaurateurs email me from California, from Seattle area, and say, you know, thank you. This is how we feel.
Smith says loopholes in insurance coverage that excludes viruses left the business out of luck in some ways, and she's not alone. She hopes the restaurant industry as a whole starts to shift.
You know, I think that the thing is just to keep thinking of creative things that still feel like they fit your model.
Smith says the restaurant industry needs federal relief, but in the meantime, she says the dining room here will remain closed however long it takes. In Kirkland, Britt Moore, King 5 News.